What's up, everybody, and welcome to Charge Sports, the official podcast of Oklahoma City Chargers, where we cover professional sports, esports, and youth sports. My name is Bobby, or for everyone who knows me on the socials as CRG Bear, and today I have a special guest. He's one of my longtime friends. I'm glad that I have him on the show, Connor Anderton, or everyone knows him on X-Ray. I'm glad to have you here today, brother.
Thank you for the invitation.
100%. So, how you been this week?
It's been crazy, man. How are you?
It's been pretty chaotic, you know what I mean? Especially with me moving into, I've been here for an entire month, but settling in a new area has been more of the task, learning the streets, avoiding getting hit because I've been almost hit multiple times on my scooter. So, just, the casual, trying to figure everything out, and exploring some new options career-wise, but it's been pretty solid.
Glad to hear it, man.
All right, so guys, we're going to be talking about some fun topics today. Obviously, the biggest topics to speak about when it comes down to the professional sports side of things is those Kansas City Chiefs beating the 49ers, which personally, as you guys know, I'm a Seahawks fan all the way through, and seeing the Niners lose, however they lost, was okay with me. I was just disappointed in Detroit on how they failed to do that because they had the lead. But we're going to be speaking about that as well as discussing the two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. We're not going to discuss his playoff performances right now, but that's something to deep dive into as well. And then we're going to shoot over and discuss college football as well as some esports drama that's getting brought in.
Well, first of all, congratulations to the Chiefs on back-to-back Super Bowls. So I'm a Falcons fan, so you actually won one. We have yet to win one.
That's tough.
But in terms of the game itself, correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably the longest Super Bowl I've ever watched in my life. But I don't know if this is more of a Kansas City comeback or a San Francisco choke job.
I would say, my opinion, and this is nothing, I'm not going to shoot Kansas City out because they did have they played very smart when necessarily needed to. I feel like the 49ers made a lot of bad discipline plays. Especially early on, they kept getting those penalties, getting drawn back after Christian McCaffrey breaking yards. And then my biggest thing is then the second half, they completely stopped the run game. It was so explosive in that first half, they couldn't stop the run game. And then all of a sudden, we're going to this stretch the field, 5 out, passing, putting Christian McCaffrey on routes, not doing what got you here, essentially. And that's what I felt like was the key value because Ravens did the exact same thing. One of the best rushing teams in the league, and then they passed the entire time. I don't know. I think Brock Purdy's definitely I'm going to go with Cam with that. Not even game manager. Just he got there because of the talent around him. I'm not a Brock Purdy fan. I can't.
I don't think you would say anything less because that's your own division. So I'm not. I have nowhere.
But that's where I sit with it. I just think that it's definitely a 49ers choke. Don't get me wrong, Chiefs played consistent throughout the stretch, but there was a lot of mental mistakes, a lot of penalties, a lot of yards back. On top of that, they went away something that actually was helping Purdy in the first half. With Christian McCaffrey breaking 4 to 5 yards, giving Purdy slant routes to Debo and his other wide receivers, it made it so easy for him to get the ball. If you look at the first half and look at his pass percentage, and then when they went against the run, now he's missing passes because they're now watching for the pass. He's missing passes because they're watching for it now. They're not looking for Christian McCaffrey on the run anymore. They're seeing him on these routes and playing out 5 out. That's where I sit with it.
I mean, to be fair, Christian McCaffrey played the game of his life. Let me give him full credit. I said Texans. That 49ers offensive line is legit. To your point about Brock Purdy, they keep Brock Purdy alive. If they did not have the offensive line, it'd be like Carolina. That man would be sacked 40 times a fucking year, and he'd be injured. This man would end up like Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0 and with a split finger, and he would not play a snap again. But I need to give a lot of credit to one thing, and this is, as someone who's been watching this all year, the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers actually caught footballs. You're getting paid millions of dollars to stick gloves on your hands and to catch a football. and you finally caught footballs. I don't know why it took you 16 weeks to figure out how to catch a football for the first time, but you did when it mattered the most. So I'm proud of you, Chiefs fans. To your point about Travis Kelce raising shit to his head coach. Okay, I had two different reactions to this. I had one at work and then one personally. First, Twitter ripped this man a new. All those Swifties were giving this man shit. I don't know if I can cuss on here, but they were giving him crap.
Yeah, you can.
He's one of those people that he's a great tight end, but you should never put your hands on anybody. You should never talk crap to your coach because he's the one who determines if you get playing time. I get the second half you played lights out, but I'm going to keep it real with you, my man. I've never seen a player in my entire life blow up at his coach like that, physically touch him, and then not play the entire half. I've never seen that before.
Me personally, with Travis Kelce, and like my personal opinion on it, and this is, I feel like he needs to be humbled a bit. And I'm not saying like, oh, by all means, talent is there. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you have to understand, like, you represent what a lot of athletes, young athletes, youth is wanting to be. And you're blowing up and exploding on your coach. If they think it's okay for Travis Kelce to do it to Andy Reid and they just won a Super Bowl, they're going to think it's okay to do it to their coaches. You're setting a bad example for the people who look up to you. And that's where I sit with what Kelce, you're an example. Just like anyone else, just like how people was fucking shitting on, excuse my language, shitting on John Morant for all the bullshit he did. You don't see anyone saying the same shit about Kelce. And it should be. It should be. Because Ja took a fucking L all last season for all the antics, all the bullshit, all everything. Yet, and then even Tom Brady started taking antics of him throwing the tablets and shit. You know what I mean? Like, he even took his flack. So I feel like, and then we seen Draymond, another good example. Like, I feel like it's time for him to be responsible for his actions. And if it continues to occur, suspension or playing time gone. That's how I feel about it. It doesn't matter about the damn talent, it's discipline. Like, you're paying millions, you're on TV every fucking week in your sold out stadiums. Mm-hmm. You are back-to-back champion and you're acting like a fucking child on national television. That gives you no reason. Andy Reid ain't in pads. There's no reason for you to go up there and do all that extra. And that's my opinion on it. You know what I mean? Because every other athlete who's shown these type of emotions have been punished for. Every other athlete. Draymond Green just was a prime good example. The current one. John Morant. Hell, like, you didn't see it from Tom, but you see it on Twitter of how many people complain and how his reputation went. So it's just like, responsible, like, my opinion, you don't have those emotions. Now, I get it, big game scenario, but at the same time, you do not blow up on your head coach. And then, like, I'm just really surprised Andy Reid did just sit his ass out the entire time. That's the real question, because if it was any other head coach in America, I'm sorry, his ass would have been on the bench the rest of the game.
I mean, he was benched most of the first half because they played box, which means they played 3 linebackers, 2 safeties from front, so he had nowhere to throw. So that's on Andy Reid. But I want to bring up a point that's actually quite interesting, and I'm going to give a side viewpoint to this. I think the main reason why Draymond and Ja had such a fallout for the seasons they did is because it was a repetitive issue. I think I'm going to add to your point as well. Wavering any type of ammunition or rifle on any kind of social media is a no-no. And if you were to do that in the current workplace, you'd be fired, right? That's the no-no. That's a breach of your conduct. That's a company policy. You just can't do that. That's a federal crime, right? You would, any normal person, me or you, would go to jail. Straight up. You can't brandish any type of rifle on social media. But I'm glad Ja's back. Ja is great for the game of basketball. He's electric. He's fast. I call him a taller AI. He's the face of that Memphis Grizzlies team. This year they're not playing as great. They had to make a couple trades at deadline last week to kind of bolster that team, and I think it's going to help them out because Memphis Grizzlies last year were an electric playoff team. They have one of the best young rosters in the NBA. People don't talk about
like just to add to the Grizzlies, they got rid of Dillon Brooks. Even though I'm not a Dillon Brooks fan, that was a mistake. You know what I mean? Houston Rockets, when you offer somebody a bag, I'm taking the bag. No offense. Yeah.
And to also add to the point with Draymond, no, you should never hit anybody in any profession. kind of like this Andy Reid and Travis, never, and I'm going to repeat this at least 3 or 4 times in this podcast, never put your hands on someone professionally, physically, emotionally. It doesn't matter, male, female. Never touch anybody, especially if you don't have the right to do it, and to do it on national television because you're not getting your way. Absolutely not. And I don't know if there's a suspension. I'm not the league commissioner. I'm not Roger Goodell. I don't make those decisions. But I think to your point, people look up to you. And when you're on the biggest stage in the entire world, you have millions of people watching, and you throw a temper tantrum because you're not getting your way.
Like PBS broke records, mind you, on how many views, and you're throwing a bitch fit on national television. And you're supposed to be the role models of many people wanting to be in your shoes right now, and you're throwing a bitch fit because that's just all I'm going to say. Like, it's just...
Right.
You know what I mean? It is what it is, you know, like...
I can't change it now.
Make an excuse about it, but, like, it's just bottom line. That's what even made it even worse for me. It's just like, oh, he's like, oh, I was just telling Andy how much I loved him or whatever. Great, but, like, bro, you could have just been like, I got upset, I got emotional in the situation, and been upfront with your audience. Like, he asked it as a joke, and it makes him look even worse in his shoes because it's just like, shit, bro, are you ever going to, stand on your own 2 feet and... You know what I mean? Take responsibility of what you did. Because everything else is like every time Travis Kelce has gotten in trouble within the league this year, he's then blew it off. You know what I mean? Quite literally.
No, you're right.
And it's not sticking to him because he's on a winning team and he's on the Chiefs. Great. But at the same time, when you look, like I said, you look at all these other athletes, that shit even Tom, towards his later career, that shit started to stick to him like everything he did. It should be the same example. You're like I said, you're a champion now, 3-time champion. It should hold the same extent. You don't see Mahomes doing the shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then it just feels like it was like, in my personal opinion, you've seen it more this year than anything because it seemed like he was showcasing. Like, I'm not going to say it was Taylor's fault, but has his attitude ever been this way? Go look at last year. Was he this bad as he was this year? No. Let's be honest. Look at the 2 seasons and how his body language was. And then you can tell. Like, it's just like, why are you doing all this? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's just like the Dan Lanning for me. It's just unwanted attention. Like, you don't need it. I'm not going to break Dan.
I'm so ready for this part of the segment. I've come prepared for this. I've come so prepared.
I'm sorry. I'm just not. Dan Lanning is not my...
Okay, do a hard transition then.
All right. We're gonna move, but
you see, he was ready to fire that right away.
Oh yeah.
I knew it.
Then it's over. Like I spoke about Kelce. I feel like let's get over to the Mahomes situation because I brought Brady up. Mm-hmm. Do you think you can compare Mahomes and Brady now?
Yeah, absolutely. Younger, more physical. I mean, at the time, better. I mean, if you wouldn't consider weapons, he's got some pretty damn good weapons. But I mean, prime Brady in New England. I mean, Andy Reid's not Bill Belichick, but I mean, this man's a stud, and he's not even 30 yet. Like, he's still in his prime. He has a bunch of F1 dealerships. Like, he's got the best tight end in the NFL right now. Like, I hate to admit it, I'm a Falcons fan, but Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and will be the best quarterback for the next 6 to 7 years.
Ooh. I have to argue. Oh my god!
If you tell me Geno Smith is a top 3 quarterback, I'm gonna be really mad.
Bro, I'm not gonna bring Geno up. Shut up. He gonna hate on Geno like no. You gotta put fucking flowers. Like, he might have lost because of the fact that they didn't stick to their run game, and that's the reason why Ravens lost is because they didn't stick to their run game. But you cannot keep discrediting Lamar not being at least on equal footing. Now you think Mahomes, yeah, he's won more big games than Lamar. But when it comes down to it, both of them statistically have put up their own resume. And that's where I have an argument because you can, like, people keep comparing Josh Allen. No, it's either the quarterback of this generation is either Lamar Jackson or fucking Patrick Mahomes. And that's my opinion.
So let me ask you this question. Accolades or stats, which means more in your career?
It really depends because you have, I'm not going to say accolades. It depends on the fact that you have to think about the situations both quarterbacks was in. You had an offensive coordinator that did not want to, like, that was completely bogus, and then you had with the Ravens, who did not help Lamar within his first couple seasons. Lamar had to basically scramble and do what he needed to do. But on top of that, name 90% of the Ravens wide receivers kept getting sold. They never was able to, like, up until getting Odell Beckham Jr. and the weapons they have now, prior to it, they didn't have a receiving core at all. And then you look at Mahomes, I'm sorry to say, you had fucking Tyreek Hill for a huge part of your career. Like, I'm sorry, what? You might not have him this year, but you still have dominant. You had more weapons than the Ravens did. In most of his career, Mahomes had more weapons than the Ravens did. And you can look at it statistically, it's true.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, right, were two rivals for a very long time, right? Was Peyton Manning a top 3 quarterback in the NFL? When it was Tom Brady and his time to shine. Indianapolis Colts, a decent team, not the greatest team, had a great defense, had an okay offense. Tom Brady, elite offense, okay defense. Tomatoes. Similar teams, not the greatest of options at your specialist position, but as Tom Brady, it was Peyton Manning a top 3 quarterback at the time. This is the argument we're having right now. Lamar Jackson, yeah, I think he's a top 2 quarterback. I think it's him and Mahomes, or 1-2. I don't think Josh Allen's a top 5 quarterback right now. People are going to give me shit for it. I'll be honest with you. They don't win crucial games. He threw the most picks in the NFL this year. I'm sorry.
Dak title. I ain't gonna hate on the Dallas Cowboys, but they get it.
Oh God! Don't give me the Skip Bayless talk.
I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan. Hold on, don't give me that. That's my mother. She's a star. I'm not. Nope.
Oh, I can't even start with the Cowboys, man. Y'all, the most overrated franchise in NFL history. Oh my.
Jerry Jones just needs to sit down. Once he goes and retires and allow his offensive coordinator, head coach, and defensive coordinator to do their jobs and win championships. That's what happened when, Jimmy Johnson? Isn't his name Jimmy Johnson?
Jimmy Johnson. This was like in the 90s.
That's why he left, if I'm not mistaken.
There was a little bit of contract dispute. I'm going to tell you, also, to Cowboys Nation, that's why
he was winning is because he told Jerry to go sit down. So Jerry was not involved yet.
Jerry was never gonna move on from that. Jerry's got the last say in everything. To you Cowboys fans out there who are listening to this right now, you win 12 games. You let your former team's head coach, Mike McCarthy, who led the Packers to one of the greatest runs we've ever watched in the early 2010s with Aaron Rodgers, right? Walk into your house, sold out. I watched this live. And smack you, drop 50 points on you to go to the NFC Divisional Championship. Guess who was waiting on you? A team that, for the last 2 decades, has not won more than 9 games a year. The Detroit Lions, who I was praying to God would go to the Super Bowl this year because they had one of the best fantasy story runs you could have had of all time.
Yeah, it really had.
But they walked into your crib, into Dallas. You claim you had the best defense in the NFL. You had the Super Bowl and you had the MVP of the season, right? And you can't even drop 33 at home against the Packers, who this year my Falcons beat. And we lost to the Cardinals, who had won 1 game all year. Really, Dallas? Yeah. We're doing this? Your defense is great, don't get me wrong. Your offense?
I'll say this, and I'm going to say it, Dallas fans. You guys just waited too long. You've bypassed so many different quarterbacks: Mahomes, Murphy, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, fucking Sherbert over at fucking Chargers. You done passed up too many quarterback options. Now I'm going to say this: you have options this year. You have Michael Penix Jr. You got fucking Caleb Williams. Go get your quarterback and get rid of Dak. That's all I'm going to say with the Dallas Cowboys, because Dak is not him. I don't care if they kept saying MVP caliber.
That's hot take.
I'm sorry, Tony Romo had better chances of finishing a ball game than Dak Prescott.
Oh wow! No, that's more.
Romo did the job. He got BS by the Green Bay because Dez Bryant caught that pass. I'm going to keep saying it. Tony Romo, he should have had one more year before Dak, because Tony was him.
Oh.
At least Tony won playoff games. Every time Dak gets in there, he starts shaking like a stripper. I'm done. I can't.
I would say shaking like he's got Parkinson's disease, but that's a total football game.
I love it. Elliott last year, but Ponder didn't do anything this year.
Yeah, but this is my one fault. I'm going to give Dallas credit. They have a great running back in Tony Pollard, who I think is one of the top 10 running backs in the NFL, and that's kind of saying something because the running backs this year just weren't the best. But Zeke to me going to the New England Patriots mid-season was not going to help that situation. I'm sorry. Your offensive coordinator, my former Bama guy, Bill O'Brien, who's now in college again because he could not figure it out in the NFL. I love my boy Mac Jones, Bama alum. Went to college with him. Great guy. That situation was horrible. Mac, wherever you're saying this, brother, you a good quarterback, but not in that system. They're going to probably move on for you because New England needs a quarterback, right? You're probably going to get traded or you're going to probably get benched. And I hate it for you because we both know quarterbacks in this league, unless you do something within the first 3 years, you're out. So, I'm sorry, brother. It's been a rough year. And for you Cowboys fans, man, if I hear one way, what America's team bull crap, you're not America's team. America's team doesn't lose at home in the divisional round when you have 12 wins on the season. I don't want to hear that crap.
I don't even want to talk about the Cowboys until they can get to the NFC Championship.
Amen.
Then we can start talking some business because I get tired of them going 12-4 and then choking out in the first round.
And then let them drop 50 on you when it matters the most on national television. That can't happen.
All right, guys. So we're going to move on. Before we do, we are going to give a small commercial break for our sponsor, Zip Chair Gaming. Guys, make sure you guys check out their sites. They have some comfy recliners, chairs, gaming stools. Hell, I'm sitting in one. Use code CHARGE. Definitely help us out a lot. But we're going to hit this commercial and then we'll be back. All right, guys, we are back, and we are going to be deep diving into the college football.
Oh, my favorite!
I'm going to be honest. I've been enjoying a lot more college football now because the transfer portal makes you watch. It changes programs, and that's what makes it exciting for me because now I'm starting to see smaller schools getting big time talent, and it's about time. You know what I mean? Because a lot of universities, I ain't gonna name a few, have been monopolized in talent over the last decade and a half. So it's kind of nice to see some new.
You can call it out. You don't got to be shy about it.
The Tide it is, huh?
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
All right, so for me, guys, I'm going to be speaking about one thing that got brought up in the college football atmosphere this week, and that is the talks of Shedeur Sanders becoming the Heisman Trophy winner and being the number one quarterback currently that's going into the 2024-2025 season. That's off of some predictions and charts. Now, I know Connor has his say, but I'm going to go ahead and put my reasoning with why I feel the Shedeur is one of the more dominant and grown quarterbacks right now currently with how bad the offensive line was last year, plus him switching up with a different offensive coordinator in Pat Shurmur, the hyper-tempo offense that Sean Lewis did not work, especially with the offensive line crumbling, and then him still relatively putting up 3,200 yards with 31 touchdowns. I feel with those statistics, being sacked the most, as well as leading in quite a few, breaking history in CU, it's the reason why I say he's easily a candidate being the best quarterback is because the fact that he was under the most spotlight going into last season. You may say, oh, Caleb Williams had a lot of pressure because he was a hot. No, like Shedeur was already being talked about. Oh, can he do this at, a Power 5 level, and can he, perform here? He was at a JUCO last. You know what I mean? Like, he kept getting all types of speculation about if he can play. Just like how Travis Hunter had that same speculation if they can play. And that showing what he did with the worst offensive, like, I'm sorry, if you give up that many sacks, you have the worst offensive line in college football. And you're still contending not only in yardage but touchdowns is impressive. And that should be looked at, because now I don't want to hear an excuse. I'm not going to give him any more excuses next season, because they got in some big fellas in that draft portal, that transfer portal. They bring multiple offensive linemen, and they have Jordan Seaton coming in from high school. So it's just like, there's no excuse. The offensive line's changed. I want to see him perform next season, and I think he could be able to take it all away as long as he stays healthy, because he did get hurt towards the end of the season, which kind of cut some of that short. But that's where I'm at. But Connor, I'm going to go ahead and let you talk, because I know I just went on a whole spiel about my reasoning, and I know you have a different one, so go ahead.
Well, first of all, let me just say I think Shedeur Sanders is one of the best quarterbacks in America. I'm going to be straight up. Unbiased opinion. I'm an Alabama fan and alum, so I'm going to have my bias, but I have to be unbiased for a minute. I think last year, Colorado was the most electric team in college football. And you may say, why do you think that? Well, you took a guy in Deion Sanders who goes to Jackson State, right? HBCU, and HBCUs haven't really got that much exposure with college football, right?
Not since the old days, the Shannon Sharps.
And look, we're getting televised games now, right? It's the Deion, we call it the primetime effect, right? And I have to give him a lot of props, because people don't just come in there and make a massive culture shock like that. Like, this would be like if Bill Belichick in the NFL were to come to like Grambling State. Now, a totally different idea, but you get the magnitude, right? So I wouldn't have watched a Jackson State football game. I don't even know where Jackson State, Mississippi. I know where Jackson, Mississippi is, but I've never watched an HBCU game. It just was never, the media never covered it, right? So he goes to Jackson State and he totally changes the whole perspective of what the media is, right? And I work in the media. So he creates a storyline there, right? You don't have to go to a Power 5 school to be successful in life. It's all about the people that are there, the culture you have, and the coaches you have, right? So he says, I can win in there, right? He smokes the SWAC. 2 years ago, undefeated, right? They lose his final game ever at Jackson State, but he changed how you view college football from that perspective, right? Now he goes to Colorado, a team that was 1-12, had really no good revenue exposure, really didn't have much media coverage. Pac-12 was already loaded. Pac-12 was basically consistent of last year of 4 teams. It was UCLA, Oregon, USC, and a little bit of a counterpunch to this, but it'd probably be like Cal Berkeley. But this is all based on revenue. He comes in there, and all of a sudden, I'm watching a Colorado football game at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. And they're playing Colorado State. Like, why would I watch a Colorado football game? I'm a Bama fan. That doesn't make any sense. It's because Deion's there, right? He's electric. That offense is on fire. So that was my quick little compliment. You brought up a point about top quarterbacks in college football. I have a list here of 5 that I think, this is probably going to do my debate, that are better than Shedeur Sanders. And I'll make this quick because it can take forever to go through this. And a couple of these guys are going to be playing against them next year. And one of them's on a team that you despise, and you tell me every single day you despise this team. Oregon's quarterback, Dylan Gabriel.
Oh my God!
Dylan Gabriel is a top 4 quarterback in college football, and I'll tell you why.
He ran from the SEC. I don't want to hear it.
The man beat Texas, who went to the playoff. Beat them. Had 5 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 3 throwing. The Red River rivalry is like Auburn, Alabama. It's like every other rivalry that's out there. And you hate your opposing team, and you come in there and you smoke them. Beat them in a neutral site field. Dylan Gabriel's a top quarterback, and I even hate admitting that. I don't even like Dylan Gabriel. I think he's a good quarterback. But this is no particular order. I'm just naming them based off what I've written down. So I'll continue. There are 4 now in the SEC. Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. And then mark my words, podcast, Ole Miss will be in the playoff next year. They're going to be a 2-loss team. They'll lose 2 games. I don't know how it's going to happen. This is why college football is unpredictable. Colorado could go undefeated. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea how they're going to play. Jalen Milroe from my Alabama Crimson Tide. Athletic, long, and ironically enough, Jalen and Shedeur are the same height and weight. Both about 6'2", about 210 pounds. I don't know if that fluctuates based on the weight. I don't know how the weight room's going. Quinn Ewers from Texas. Great quarterback, great arm. Can launch the thing. And then Carson Beck out of UGA. What's the moral of the story here? Can Colorado be a playoff team next year? I have no idea. They lost the last 6 games last year by an average of 10 points, right? It all started and all crumbled when they blew a lead to Stanford at home. Up 29-0 at halftime. Stanford comes back and there was one guy that had 250 receiving yards. And guess who is his CB1? Who I think might be the top 2 pick next year, Travis Hunter. One of the greatest players I think I've never seen a player like this since, golly, Charles Woodson. Who's a player that can play? I've never seen a wide receiver or corner in the same game. Usually coaches don't want you to slap more than 50 times. That's gonna wear and tear on your body. He can switch on a dime. Long, athletic, lanky, the kid's a stud. So my question to you, leading into this. Colorado football, and I wrote this down. Colorado football makes the college football playoff if.
Okay, so I feel Colorado Buffaloes makes the college football playoffs if Shedeur utilizes the weapons that he has this year accordingly. The reason why I stated this is it's not just Travis Hunter. You have to think about last year. He had Xavier Weaver. He had Jimmy Horn Jr., which is now coming back, and he's probably the fastest person on that team. Jimmy Horn Jr. on those slants and those routes is nasty, and he's one of, I feel like, not only Travis Hunter, but he's also one of the bigger targets going into next year because he's coming with a lot of experience. But the reason I would say the biggest reason is that you have a grown quarterback in Shedeur. I feel like we've seen it when he went after TSU. He could go blow for blow as long as his offensive line can hold. He can play. He can have a shootout with any of the best quarterbacks currently in college football. So that is not besides the point. It's just the fact that he needs to make sure he can be able to utilize the current players he has, because he can't just continue to wear and tear on Travis Hunter because they're going to man mark him. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to get everyone involved. He has a big tight end coming in. What is it? He's actually from France. I don't know how to pronounce his full name. But right at this moment, that's my thing. I think they make the playoffs if Shedeur can get this offense rolling. Now, don't get me wrong, the defense had its fucking flaws last year, but you have Kamani McLean, who was the number 1 DB last year from high school, now growing into his role with Colorado. You have Travis Hunter that's on that side. You have Shedeur Sanders. You have a lot of good leaders that's going to put that defense in check. You're not going to see the same ish that happened. Now, we might need to put some big fellas on that D-line, and we're still working on the progress of doing that. But I feel like with the new coaching staff that was just announced recently, I feel like all the pieces, especially getting the Bengals, safety coach that we end up signing. So it's just like, with us getting this pro-level experience, the dynamics is changing. But there's now, with all this big talent and all these people coming in, there's no more fucking excuses. I don't want to hear a press conference, and I love Dion. I don't want to hear a press conference where he's not answering the questions, because this year he avoided it. Oh, we'll bounce back. You know what I mean? Very positive. I love it. But at some point, we need serious Dion at some point. Because at this point, we know what you're able to do. We're needing the results. Are you all talk? Are you about action? And I'm not, like I said, I'm never going to question primetime, but that's where it comes down to when it comes to what he's already achieved so far. Like, he set the bar so high for himself to where there's nothing other than reaching that level. You know what I mean? Hell, he was at the point people believed that he was going to win the national title last year. So it's just like the expectations for Colorado Buffaloes and just Coach Prime in general, they have to make that. That's kind of where their book is right now.
I'll add to that. Transfer portal classes, number 1, number 2. USC, the Trojans 2022 class was number 1, right? You have depth. You have the coaches. You got rid of the people that were not bad apples. You brought in good players. You brought in NFL experience. Now it's your time to shine. You told everybody, we're coming. Okay, if you're coming, show me you're coming. Don't tell me about it. Go on the field and start popping teams. You're in the Big Ten now. The big boys, there's 2 teams right now in your conference that are the best 2 teams in the college football. Ohio State and Michigan. Those 2 teams run this conference right now. If you want to make a statement, go into Ann Arbor this year to the national champions and beat them. I'm giving you the biggest expectation you need all year. I don't care if you beat every team by the margin of 7 points. I don't care if it's a 1 touchdown score. Win. That's how you get notoriety in college football. Win your games. You don't have to worry about how convincingly. That's if you want media exposure. You want to bring people to your campus. You want to bring recruits in. You want them to come from Florida and California and Alaska, wherever, right? They want to go to winners. You were talking about talent pool. Why do people leave their home state to go to you? They want to play for your coach. Prime is a real deal. Now put the product on the field. Show me you're all about it. I'll watch your games, but win your games. And win it convincingly. You took this Boulder, Colorado entire area. It's a beautiful campus. Don't get me wrong, I've been there twice. But you've taken a culture that was not really there, and you made them a focal point in college football. You made every single week Colorado. Let's see how they did.
The biggest thing is that, and this is something that I highlight the most, and this is what I highlighted in the previous episodes, is that if you understand the dynamic that he shook the culture of this Colorado team, primarily because of the fact that every one of Colorado's games last season was sold out. The revenue that he got from all his Coach Prime stuff was right. To the point he made so much net revenue to where it basically got him, like you said, he made so much revenue for the team, the athletic department. It's the dynamic that he's changed so far. He's set the bar so high that you have no other choice but to go improve it now.
It's a win. It's a win now.
Bar set on it's up here, and like I said, I'm gonna always ride with Coach Prime, good, bad, and ugly. But like it's just like coming from heart to heart. Like we know where the bar is at, and that's where we're sitting at. Especially on how much when we talk about it, like we can't say we're the best and don't beat the best, and that's just the bottom line to it.
You're right.
Alrighty, so we're going to switch over to esports. Now, we've had some huge things in the esports scene that's been sort of crazy, and we're going to mention it on the show today. One of which is me and Connor's background, our playground in a sense, our childhood, which is Call of Duty. And I want to discuss on how badly the Call of Duty scene is currently at. I feel like the COD scene is currently in shambles, especially not only on the amateur side of things, but we've also seen some crazy stories on the lines of the women's competitive and as well as the challengers competitive as well. So it's been very, very... And then on top of that, we have the franchising that's potentially going to be gone next year, based off of rumors and speculation. So, Connor, based on all the stuff that's happened this week, how do you feel about the COD scene? And I'm not even going to even get into the stories just yet because the fact the stories are crazy. But how do you feel? Because I know you read some of this, and man.
We'll get to the spicy stuff here in a minute, but I mean, the challenger scene is not what it used to be. I think me and you would both agree when it was organization based, it was the best. The CWL and Black Ops 3 was the best you could have ever had because it took organizations that were startups and made them into big time deals, right? So like, I remember, this is for most of you will not know this, but Advanced Warfare, the Xbox One, Bobby and I played our first ever, this is going to sound absolutely nuts, played a pro team called Aware Gaming. And there were 3 pros on that team that made their debuts to the Pro League that year. And it was Accuracy, who plays for the Seattle Surge. It was Sender, who's a head coach.
And Looney.
Now, don't get me wrong. We did not win. But we got close. We got close.
The search and destroy. We
won the search. We got every other thing that had a respawn, we got smoked.
Yeah, respawn.
It was not the best. Playing Solar Hardpoint, your first ever match, like when you're ice cold going into it and trying to deal with people who've got movement better than LeBron James is not fun. But no, to kind of go back to the point though, I think the problem with the COD scene currently is a little bit of toxicity, but also a little bit of egos. And there's only 3 teams right now that are kind of at the top. And, as someone who's helping run for the OKC directors as a COD director, it's trying to balance both success but also professionalism. And I guess to answer your direct question, it's hard to see success right away because COD is so game by game based. I really can't give you a specific answer here because we haven't gotten any success just yet. We'll get there eventually. So if y'all haven't followed our COD scene, please do. We have a great team. We have great directors. We have great coaches. But I'm actually going to toss this back to you, Bobby, with this question because it's hard to answer this. But if you were the general manager of the Call of Duty League and you could make one change right now and implement it, you would put it like you would amend it into the actual agreement for COD, what would you change and why?
If I could input one thing in the COD League, I would add a relegation system where the worst or the last two teams in the league gets bumped out and the top two teams that won Challengers Champs get bumped in. That way, new talent could get brought into the league with the two new rosters and two new organizations, as well as the worst teams in the league gets bumped out. I don't think it should be, the worst team in the league is relatively still being a part of the pro league. It just doesn't make any damn sense to me. Like, these guys are getting paid to basically borderline lose so they can sell the entire fucking season because they're on a pro roster. And that's kind of how I see it. You have players who can get away with selling the entire fucking season because they're on a pro team and they're locked in a contract if they don't get dropped. So that's what I would input. I think a relegation system, just like if you see World Football, hell, Rainbow Six got a relegation system where, like I said before, the top two teams in Challengers, the one who's first and second at Challengers Champs, they get an invitation to come to the Pro League, and the worst two teams off in the Pro League gets their shit jumped back into the Challengers. That will make shit a lot more competitive in my opinion.
That's actually a pretty good idea. I wouldn't mind that at all.
It would be good.
Yeah.
And as long as, and here's the thing, like, do it like how the Premier League, like I watch a lot of World Football guys, do it like how the Premier League is. If these organizations are small, allow, like, if they're getting invited into it, give them a certain compensation for the org so they can manage to stay in the league. They can go and buy talent. But that's kind of like that'll take an infrastructure for that to work. And that's just how it is. You know, like it could be, a $5,000 bonus or $10,000 bonus because you guys jumped into the league and it helps you buy a player. You know what I mean? It's something realistic and nothing bonkers, but I do feel like a relegation system would work perfectly in this situation. Because it's not like you're using the cities to host your own events. We have probably 4 majors, and most of these guys got facilities and spending thousands and thousands and millions of dollars, and you're never hosting one in your city. You don't have your fan base come out and do anything in your facility because it's not a thing. What's the point of having city-based organizations when you can't get your infrastructure in your city behind it? Doesn't make any sense.
I would agree. I think when they put the Overwatch people in control of COD, it does not mix well, and we've seen that. And there's only 3 teams right now at the top, and we know both of them because they're rivals. One's got green, one's got red in their name, and that's the only 2 teams that currently run the league. And
outside of Toronto,
who's been smoking people. I mean, that's one thing I would agree with you though. It's like the NBA. You know who your top 5 teams are, but like the wild cards, like I hate to call them out because I don't think they've ever done anything productive. Come on, Legion. Really? What?
Well, they pushed Standy off the roster for what reason? And Standy
actually didn't play all that bad. And this is the one thing about COD I hate. They always find a scapegoat. It's like the 49ers firing their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes, today. It was never the defensive problem. It was an offensive problem.
Yeah.
Standy's good on slang. Slang was not the problem with that team. It was a little bit of the chemistry. So you took, like November and December to get your team together, and then you drop one player because they don't have a good performance. Like, COD's like any other sport. Like, you're not going to have days where you're averaging 50 kills on a map and 10 S&D kills. Like, everybody plays a role in COD. We know this. Some people are objective. Some people are better with anchoring. Some people are better with slang. It's find the 4 people that can play the best COD and do it successfully and can actually take criticism. I think that's one thing you would agree with me. Criticism COD is probably the most toxic part of the entire thing. People hate criticism. They don't want to take accountability. They don't want to sit there and listen to what they did wrong. It's just all up in there. It's all mentality. If they had figured that out, man, we would have so much. It would be so much more fluid. But it's just not that way.
Well, guys, crazy-ish that's happened. Previous Vanguard Challengers Champs Airborne Gaming has allegedly owed $10,000 to multiple individuals, including the former professional pro Pristini.
This is why you need to have contracts. This is why you need to have a lawyer. If you're signing, this is my advice for everyone out here, someone who does professionals for a living. If you do not have a lawyer or some sort of a professional who knows how to do contract negotiation with you present, minor or anything, because this is a prime example. $10,000, Bobby, is a lot of money. So if you can't sign contracts because you're not able to, don't be in the scene. Don't get people's hopes up. Don't do anything. You need to have a signed and a written contract and an NDA with you at all times, and have someone notarize it, meaning a judge signs off on it or a lawyer signs off on it, saying that you were going to abide by the rules and do what you're supposed to do. To me, to you personally, this is a breach of privacy on their part. I hate that for Pristini because he's a pro player and he retired, which I don't. I feel so bad for him because this man deserves to be in the pro league, and that he retired, man. Like, this man has won a world championship 5 years ago with the United on Black Ops 4, and he retired.
Getting a proper introduction off into the league, that's crazy.
It makes me so sad. Like, your first rookie year, you win a championship, and then, like, it's been bounced back, challengers back and forth. Like, he just had not been able to find a stop. He had a couple little pro league, appearances the last couple of CODs with Cold War and all that stuff, but it's like you said, we said in an earlier segment, like, this COD scene is so, what's the word for it?
Stagnant.
It's stagnant. That's a perfect word. It's just, there's no movement to it. And I'm excited to watch it, but I think you can agree to this, and I'll ask you about this. Would it be more beneficial to see more rookie debuts during a season than wait till the offseason to sign them? Meaning, like, during a season, if you're not playing well, bring up a rookie from your challenger scene.
I would say it's. I feel like it's a whole lot more interesting to bring up rookies than bringing up washed-up pros. I'm tired of seeing the team drop somebody. If it didn't work with another roster, why the fuck are you continuing going after the same person if he's not performing?
Right.
Like that's how I feel about the entire situation. You know what I mean? I also feel like Boston Breach really fucked over Sensor too. I think, like, with him retiring, he should at least had an opportunity, especially how many runs. He's not the best player, but he should at least had an opportunity to play on their team. Their team was actually hot garbage when Methods left. So it's just like, it's not like you had anything going for it anyways. What's the point of not having someone who's been riding for your brand the entire time? You know what I mean? That's my opinion on it. And I can argue that I would have loved to see Sensor playing back on the main stage again. There's a lot of players I would love seeing playing, but they keep trying to rewash or refurbish this old trash talent that's still in the league. That's the issue with it. Like, once you hit the pro scene, they just go like, oh yeah, he's had pro experience, so he can work here, and it's just like, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work that way.
I have one funny Sensor story, and I don't know if you remember this. This is World War II. This was, it's not 2024, this was back 2020, right before the pandemic. It's Optic Gaming with Dashion and Scump versus Sensor's team and Complexity. I remember this like it was yesterday. I had Blastful and all of them, right? I've never watched one person's point of view. Usually in COD, they switch between POVs. POVs mean point of view, like they switch between players, right? Whoever gets hot, they just follow a new player. This man, Sensor, love you, Doug Martin. You're a good person. You were getting hog slammed. Every time I watched this man, he would spawn up at the PPSH. You remember London Hardpoint. We all remember London Hardpoint, right? STG, PPSHs, we were watching. This man would jump into the hill and get fried. I watched this man drop 6 kills and die 27 times. And that made me realize, you're a cool player. You have a great personality, but you're not ready for main stage. We beat them 250 to 103. But that's my favorite Sensor moment, and he's a great player. He's had a great career, don't get me wrong. He won a championship way back in the day, played with some of the best players in Aches and Apathy and all them on Envy, but my boy Sensor was getting, me and you were both Optic fans, this man was getting Kentucky fried on land, and his first, because remember, Complexity made it out of groups. Which is what, to your point you made earlier, I would rather see teams out of groups make it, like it was CWL, make you out of groups and get to the pool play. That'd be awesome. So a lot of these pros got into it, right? But as soon as they made it in there, you make it into Optics group, and I'm like, you're not making it out of Optics group. Optics going to 2-0 you right away. First map, London Hardpoint. Watch this man. The first 3 gunfights were against Dashy, Scump, and Dashy again. Dashy with an STG in a bar was just peeling this man off spawn, and I will never forget listening to the crowd talking shit to Dashy the whole time. That's where Dashy developed the Bruce. That's where, for those of you who do not know, in COD, Dashy, aka Brandon Hotel for Optic Gaming, got his nickname of Bruce during the World War II season on Optic Gaming. That man was a tank, and he's kept that ever since. Okay. But yeah, what a weird. It's just been a weird COD scene. I don't think I've ever had a COD scene, Bobby, in my entire life where like I'm just not a big fan of it. It's weird.
Like every time that I think about the COD scene, man, I just miss the early AW days, the fucking Ghost, and the Ghost days. That rustic map, I don't, man. It's just something about it that makes me just, you know what I mean? But that's all I'm gonna say on it, guys. We are running pretty short with the show. We're gonna end it off here, but Connor, are you gonna be back here next week, brother?
I'm currently about to go to Indianapolis tomorrow for NBA All-Star, but I should be back next Tuesday, so I'm going to go probably yes right now.
Alrighty. All right, well, let's get back to it, guys. We'll be back next week with obviously some more stories to tell you because there's going to be obviously some new things happening, especially with the CDL coming back and other esports starting their competitions back up, and even our own team, Oklahoma City Chargers, which is going to be fun. We are going to be discovering some more often to the youth sports, but because of the fact that youth sports varies in regions and areas, it's very hard for myself as well as Connor to be able to really grab any information on that. But if it's something that we can grab from that topic, we definitely will. But all right, guys, we're going to be heading on out. It was a pleasure. I hope you guys like it. Make sure you hit the like, comment, and subscribe button. Give us your opinion on how you feel about the COD scene in particular, if you guys are in it. But that's all I got.
But they just make us see the realest. Why not you treat a lady how you treat a real man? Cause Billie Jean was never ever devil feeling. They give in. They got it bad, but they just make us see the realest. Why not you treat your mama how you treat a real